will put forward his plans and aspirations to his party membership, the SLPP, and the country as a whole.
I'm coming in as a unifier. I have the experience. I was in peace building. I did mediation for the Sudanese.
With SLBC's Joseph Igbenda KAPUWA.
This is a free-to-air service of the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, and the interest of the public, we are bringing you live interviews with all candidates, men and women who are vying for the position of chairman, leader, or secretary general of their political parties.
On the SLBC TV and radio, on Tuesday, the 14th of December 2021, at exactly 7 p.m. with repeat broadcast at 10 p.m. Be a part of the SLBC Election Special. Coming up on the SLBC Election Special, aspirant for the position of national chairman in the person of MOMODU KOROMA will put forward his plans and aspirations to his party membership, the SLPP, and the country as a whole.
I'm coming in as a unifier. I have the experience. I was in peace building. I did mediation for the Sudanese.
With SLBC's Joseph Igbenda KAPUWA.
This is a free-to-air service of the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, and in the interest of the public, we are bringing you live interviews with all candidates, men and women who are vying for the position of chairman, leader, or secretary general of their political parties.
On the SLBC TV and radio, on Tuesday, the 14th of December 2021, at exactly 7 p.m. with repeat broadcast at 10 p.m. Be a part of the SLBC Election Special.
Welcome to a special program on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Joseph Igbenda KAPUWA, and I will be your host throughout the coming days as we meet candidates for the chairmanship of the Sierra Leone People's Party, the SLPP. We are also following the political activities of other political parties. I will bring you live interviews on the leadership elections of those parties. This is a free-to-air service of the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, and in the interest of the public, we are bringing you live interviews with all candidates, men and women who are vying for the position of chairman, leader, or secretary general of their political parties. Tonight, we will commence the interview series with former Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, ALHAJI MOMODU KOROMA, who aspires for the position of chairman of the Sierra Leone People's Party, SLPP. Welcome to this interview, Mr. KOROMA.
Thank you very much, Director General.
And again, welcome to the SLBC.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, especially with you at the helm of affairs.
Let's get started. Who is ALHAJI MOMODU KOROMA?
Well, I hope I'll do justice to ALHAJI MOMODU KOROMA in the time allotted to me. Well, ALHAJI MOMODU KOROMA is started as an academic in university and then jumped into politics. I don't want to dwell on my academic career because that was a long time ago. But I started in politics in 1990 as regional organizing secretary of the party in the Southern Province. And I served until the military coup of 1992, and then had to go back to the university to continue. And then when the NPRC declared that they wanted the country to return to multi-party politics, we came again together and started developing the party in 1995. At that point, we're now in Freetown. We have been chased by the rebels out of Jala. We're now in Freetown, and we started setting up the office at Rodin Street. So until, we developed the Constitution. I was Secretary of the Constitutional Review Committee of 1995. Mr. Magai was chair. And then
Charles Magai.
Mr. Charles Magai was chair of the Constitutional Review Committee of the party in 1995. Because the SLPP Constitution was first formulated in 1961. And then, but of course, it had run its course, and it now seemed obsolete, so we had to review it. So the 1995 leadership contest was done on the 1995 Constitution, which we did. After that contest, ALHAJI Dr. Ahmed Tijan Kaba emerged as leader of the party, and I became his campaign secretary. And then when he won, he made me Minister of Presidential Affairs in 1996. In the 2002, after the 2002 elections, I became Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation until 2006, when I was nominated by the late Solomon Berewa, who was elected as leader of the party in 2005, nominated me as vice presidential candidate.
You were his running mate.
I was his running mate. I was nominated in 2007, and we contested elections together in 2007. We lost those elections, of course, based on the results that were published by the National Electoral Commission. Thereafter, I stayed in the party. I also contested for the leadership of the party in 2012 with now His Excellency President Julius Maada.
I remember interviewing you.
That's right. You know, I was part of the 19 candidates. You remember?
Yeah.
Large group of people that contested for the leadership. But of course, the president emerged as leader of the party at that time. And then subsequently, we joined him in the campaign. And I was nominated as co-chair of the fundraising committee. And I served with him until we held the elections. We lost the elections, those elections again. And then after in 2013 November, I had a job with the United Nations in Sudan.
Okay. Now tell us, why do you want to lead the SLPP this time around as chairman?
Well, there are a couple of reasons why I want to do that. The party is an old party, a party that has a long tradition and history. Apart from the ANC in South Africa, this party is the oldest party in Africa. It has lived for well over 70 years. It still has the same motto, the same symbol, the same name. All the parties in West Africa that started with it have gone down the drain. The CPP is still in Ghana, but it does not enjoy the sort of profile the SLPP enjoys. So but the party does not seem to command the stature that its history and its heritage account for. In that regard, some of us feel that it is important to help improve on the stature and the image of the party. The other reason why I want to contest for the leadership is that the party has gone through a lot of challenges recently. The party has been in opposition, it has come to government, back in opposition, and then now it's in government. And the president has set a very ambitious agenda. The agenda is so big that you need to build the structures of the party to be able to support his agenda. But as it is now, you can see that the party does not have, the sort of structures to support, the ambitious agenda which the president has set up. Thirdly, the party also has internal challenges. There have been a lot of problems recently, problems that do not, portray the party in good light. Problems that were not, the sort of problems that SLPP used to encounter in the past. This was a party that had a lot of decorum, a party that had a lot of, good image as a united party, and in fact people say it is that unity that has made us live this long. But for now, you don't see the semblance of that unity. Divisions crop up everywhere, even at the lowest level of the party. For example, in this run of the contest from the lower level So now we're heading for the convention. There have been a lot of problems. Even at sectional level, people fight. They fight proxy battles for those who are contesting for the party chairmanship. At sectional level, at constituency level, at chiefdom level. So the crack is deep.
The question is, why you? Why MOMODU Kuruma? What personal qualities or characteristics do you possess, that your belief sets you apart from the other candidates who are vying for the same position?
Number one is experience. I have a lot of experience with this party. And at the time when we were running the party had a different outlook. It was a party of compromise. It was a party of consultation. It was a party of respect and dignity. It was a party that, accommodated everybody. It was a tolerant party and it was a united party. So I have that experience to bring to bear on the party again. So experience, apart from the experience of running the party, I have experience with governance as well. And that makes it, an important element. If you have experience with running the party as well as experience with government, it makes it an important element for you to be able to contribute to the governance agenda and prepare the party in such a way that it will be able to support the president. So that's one. The other quality which I have is that I have attributes that, sort of bring unity to the party. I hail from the north. My father hails from the north, but I also hail from the south. My father is a northerner, Timni, from Yonibana. My mother is a southerner, from Bo. I speak both languages fluently, and I should be able to...
What languages are we talking about?
Mende and Timni,
okay.
The two largest languages, two largest tribes in the country. So I should be able to relate properly to a large number of people who come to the party. I should also be able to deliver the message of the party in the language in which people understand in many parts of the country. But the element of unity does not stop with tribe or language alone. The element of unity stops with relationship that you've built in the party over the years. The element of unity starts with how do you relate to those who have been in the party before? And how do you relate to those who are joining the party now? How do you bring synergy between the old and the young to make sure that everybody fits in this big game? So unity, therefore, as a unifying force, I think I fit the bill.
We want to list the top 5, if you like, significant contributions that you have made within the SLPP, probably on the one hand, and maybe in Sierra Leone generally in the past few years, 5 years if you like.
Well, thank God you limited it to 5. I have been
top 5.
Yeah, top 5, yes. Firstly, I think we resurrected the party in 1992. I was key to resurrecting the party in 1995-96 back to power. This party was proscribed. And for many years it was in the doldrums. Nobody had about it. We had a one-party state. And when we came back to establish it, you needed people with the kind of courage and determination to re-establish the party. And I think I was one of those, starting from 1990, up to the 1995 era, and then up to the 1996 general election. I played a huge role. Apart from the constitution, I did a lot to be able to bring the party back. So that's one. 2, when the party was overthrown and it went to Conakry in 1997. I was in America when the party was, but I flew to Conakry to support the president. It was a very challenging period. But a lot of people would bear witness that when I came to Conakry, I supported the president to the full until the party returned to Freetown. I was able to write 3 proposals, which were all supported by the British High Commissioner, Peter Penfold, at that time. I wrote a proposal for the establishment of the government office in Conakry, which was funded and was approved and funded. I wrote a proposal for the movement for restoration of democracy, a movement that was supposed to monitor the borders for those who are breaking United Nations sanctions. That was also funded. I also wrote a proposal where we took 40 people to Dashboard to have a conference to do a 90-day strategic plan for the return of the government from exile. So that's the second contribution. The third one, of course, was when I was serving as minister. I served as Minister of Presidential Affairs in the office of the President at wartime. And I think I did a lot to keep the party together and to keep the government together. I was the main pillar of support for the President during the war. I always count on that support as crucial. As Minister of Foreign Affairs, I also did a lot to the new Foreign Ministry building that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs enjoys now. I hatched the plan and did the proposal, the project, and until it was funded. But I was the first post-conflict foreign minister, and I did a lot of movement around the world. Sometimes we used to organize roadshows to fundraise for disarmament, demobilization, and integration, for the return of IDPs and refugees, and for reconstruction and rehabilitation. I was key as foreign minister, the first post-conflict foreign minister, to be able to pool resources to bring to the country for us to move the country forward.
ALHAJI, your candidacy appears to come at the 11th hour, 59th minute of the elections. Is this not a bit call for the chairmanship of the party?
Well, the first time I actually mooted the idea was in 2019. I consulted quite a lot of people, leaders of the party, and I went around the country and discussed it with people, sounding the opinion of people. I said, I'm interested in becoming a leader of the party, chairman of the party, especially when it was now clear that we wanted to separate the chairmanship and the leadership in the constitutional review process. So that's when I came forward the first time in 2019. But of course, there was a damper on everything because of the kind of crisis and the challenges the party was facing. A lot of people, were of the opinion that the party was in crisis. We went to several meetings, and each of them resulted in the postponement of the election date. So I said, you know what, I better caution myself. Otherwise, if you start spending resources and you're not sure of the election date, you might just run into trouble. But what has triggered my re-engagement is straightforward. The time has now been specified, is now been set by the party leadership that December 22 and 23 we are coming forward, to have a convention. But the other thing that has actually triggered it now is that a lot of people have appealed to me that because of the sharp divisions in the party, it will be necessary to have a third or fourth candidate. If we leave the fight between two candidates, and those candidates, people are now been fighting proxy wars for those candidates within the party that have gone right down to the grassroots, we might not be able to have unity even after the elections. It's quite possible that, one person will win, obviously, but the cracks will remain, the healing process will take long, and for goodness sake, we're heading for general elections in about a year. How do you compromise that? How do you reconcile that? Having cracks in the party that will remain, the bitterness that will remain after the election. And then, of course, the fact that elections are around the corner. So if you have a candidate, a unified candidate in the middle, somebody that would bang heads together and bring peace. And if a third person wins, he would be able to bring other factions together to have a proper reconciliation. A reconciliation where there will be forgiveness and where we will not lose focus on the fact that elections are pending.
How would you respond to speculations that your candidacy at this stage is merely to spoil the party? I mean, within the party, that's the SLPP, by dividing votes just so your preferred candidate will emerge victorious?
No, that's why I've gone around the country to explain my reasons for contesting. I'm not here to split any votes. I have a good relationship with both candidates, two or three candidates who are contesting. And I've gone around the country to explain to them why I'm contesting. I said, look, I'm not here to split votes. I'm not here to contest against anybody. But I'm here because the party needs unity. The party needs, if we go either way in this contest, the bitterness will remain, the struggle will remain. It will be difficult for us to reconcile before election. So that message is what I've taken all around the country. I've just completed the north. I've gone to part of I've gone to Kono. I'm leaving for the east. And I believe that by the 16th of this month, I would have gone around the country. And the message is the same. Let us unify. It's not about me, ALHAJI MOMODU. I'm not going there because I'm dying to win an election. No. I'm going there because the party needs a united front. And to have a united front, you need somebody with experience and the character to be able to deliver on reconciliation, as well as, move the party agenda forward. This party needs somebody with experience, somebody who can really bring all his experience he has acquired over the years to bear on the party.
Not much has been heard about you or from you since the Ahmad days. Do you know why?
Well, I was here until 2012. I contested, as I told you, the 2011 leadership elect contest. They used to call it the flag bearer contest in the SLPP. And after which, I decided to seek for a job at the UN. I was in peacekeeping, peace building in Sudan. I worked there for a little over 5 years. And initially I went in as a consultant, and later on I became a senior political affairs officer, and then I left Sudan as a chief political affairs officer in the political affairs section of the peacekeeping mission there. So this is why I was quiet, and when I came back, of course, I reported to everybody that I was back, but I just stayed quiet to see how things were going in the country.
Now, clearly the chairmanship race have been, a bruising experience for the Sierra Leone People's Party. And we're talking about 4 or 5 candidates for the position of chairman of the SLPP. I mean, how might you seek to heal the wounds? How will you reunite a divided party, after the elections, if you emerge victorious?
Yes. Well, in the first place, there are a number of issues that need to be addressed. The first I would take is the Constitution. A lot of the problems that we encounter now in the party are because the Constitution has provisions that that cannot be justified, so to speak.
It has just been reviewed, I suppose.
It has just been reviewed. But that review did not take care of the fact that, for example, let me give you an example. If you look at the party hierarchy, the Constitution states that if you are doing sectional elections, those in the chiefdom should, conduct those elections. If you are doing chiefdom elections, those in the constituency should conduct those elections. And then the district should conduct chiefdom, regional district, and then the national should do the regional. But if you take into consideration the fact that, those who are conducting the elections have a vested interest in the outcome, because it is those they are electing that will be electing them as well. So there is a conflict of interest, an inherent conflict of interest in the way those provisions are shaped. If I'm district chairman, I am conducting elections for constituency chairman, and those constituency chairmen would in turn come and vote for me. Tell me, my brother, there's an inherent conflict of interest. I am going to seek my own interest during those elections, and this has been the problem right through. All the conflicts that we could, in fact, I was chairman of a committee that was set up by the National Executive Council to review some of the elections that had gone on in the north and Kenya. And as chairman of that committee, we discovered that there were a lot of problems, and we recommended to the leadership of the party how to resolve those problems. Those problems were resolved, but the fact remains that it is that those fundamental, inherent controversies within the Constitution that are creating some of the problems. So the first thing I would have to look at, how do we review those provisions to make sure that elections are independent and there is impartiality in the conduct of elections. Because you cannot say to conduct an election from which I will have to benefit later on, and then you expect me to go do it in a free and fair manner. So that's one. Secondly, the party needs to build its structures, internal structures. The party structures as they are now are ad hoc. We need to bring a little bit of professional input in the party administration. We really need to recruit people who are professionals, who are party men, of course, but who have the capacity to carry out our day-to-day job.
In which specific areas?
Well, for example, in the handling of finances, we need competent, qualified people to handle our finances. In the area of public relations, we need qualified and competent people to handle our public relations. Even in the area of management, there are people who have the capacity to manage administrative issues, day-to-day administrative issues. And those ones will free the hands of the chairman and not the national executive members to do the party work, to do the politics. But as it is now, it is the politicians that are doing those jobs. And it is of course, it's not giving them enough opportunity and time. And that particular issue rolls down to the regions and the districts. So, thirdly, one of the things I want to introduce as chairman is to introduce an inspectorate. The party needs an inspectorate. There is no way we are monitoring how effectively the party is functioning in other parts of the country. We need to introduce an inspectorate in the party, a group of people who have the capacity to go around and inspect what's happening in terms of service delivery within the party, in terms of managing resources, in terms of, there could even be people conducting snap audits on how the party is functioning in Canada, for example, in Kweladuru, and then giving a feedback to the party. That's the only way you know that your party is alive and kicking in all parts of the country. I also intend to come up with a strategic plan, a 100-day strategic plan, as soon as I win the chairmanship. That strategic plan will clearly come up with the objectives on the things we should handle in the first 100 days. And of course, there will be a review of that plan and a validation of the plan by all who are involved in party administration. And from that point onwards, we'll develop a plan for the election. It's as urgent as yesterday.
The program is Election Special and is coming to you from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation here in England in Freetown. We have commenced this interview series with the aspirant for the position of chairman, Sierra Leone People's Party, ALHAJI MOMODU. We all know before now we've been talking to other candidates. I mean, we interviewed candidates for the National Women's election. We also interviewed candidates for the youth or the young generation position of the party. And now we're engaging aspirants for the position of chairman of the Sierra Leone People's Party. And my guest tonight is ALHAJI MOMODU, former Minister of Presidential Affairs and former Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. My name is Joseph Ebinda.
Coming up, the SLPP election special. Aspirant for the position of national chairman in the person of MOMODU KOROMA will put forward his plans and aspirations to his party membership, the SLPP, and the country as a whole.
I'm coming in as a fire. I have the experience. I was in peace building. I did mediation for the Sudanese.
With SLBC's Joseph Ibenda KAPUWA.
This is a free-to-air service of the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. And the interest of the public, we are bringing you live interviews with all candidates, men and women who are vying for the position of chairman, leader or secretary general of their political parties.
On the SLBC TV and radio on Tuesday, the 14th of December 2021 at exactly 7 p.m. with repeat broadcast at 10 p.m. Be a part of the SLBC Election Special.
Now, ALHAJI, let's also talk about the national women's leadership election. I mean, it ended about a fortnight or last week, as the case may be. After those elections were actually cancelled at some point in Kailau, there are reports of threats, there are reports of intimidation, there are reports of some irregularities. I mean, do you blame them on the current executive of the party?
Well, they did do the basic things that they're supposed to do. But I think they missed out on a few issues. And the issues that created the problems in Kailau are clear. Firstly, there was controversy over the delegate list. There is suspicion on how the delegate list has been put together and how it was published. So that controversy you cannot attribute to anybody but the party administrative leadership. So, which means the process may not have been transparent enough. The process may not have been clear to those who are contesting. And so there was some sort of a lack of consultation in the, I mean, if people are contesting elections, they should be consulted in to make sure that they are comfortable, that nothing has gone amiss in the development of the delegate list. The delegate list was the first controversy. The second controversy in Kailau, based on what I heard, we were there, but we didn't stay long. We left because, of course, we just went to see the atmosphere and then we came back. But the second controversy was that there was, a lack of security. The security arrangements were not watertight. And as a result, those who had no business to be there during the election actually went and took an active part in the process because there was no proper security arrangement to filter who should be an active player and who should not be an active player. These are some of the issues which you can attribute to the party.
How would you have done it better if you were chairman?
As chairman, you need to be above board. People need to trust you in the development.
The question is how?
First of all, the delegate list. There are laid down procedures for the development of the delegate list for the convention. And those procedures should have been followed to the letter. But over and above that, you should ensure that all candidates are okay with the procedures and all candidates, are also familiar with what you're doing. So that there is no doubt, there is no element of doubt in the final outcome of the list. So that's one of the issues. The list should have been properly scrutinized by everybody and it should have been agreed upon.
Now, we have heard of the SLPP Women's Wing. We've also heard of the JMD Women's Wing. I mean, what's your understanding of these two groups within the SLPP fold, and how positioned are you to have one women's group?
Well, of course, that's the ultimate objective, to have a women's group. But of course, it has always been quite evident in the party to have support groups. It is not a new thing. It's not a new concept. It started way back in 2006, 2005. There was Sumo Cab, who supported President Kaba, and there was friends of from Mbera that supported president. But those support groups, as we know them, should focus on the bigger picture of making sure they support the entire party, not a faction within the party, to be able to deliver the party when it comes to elections. So when you talk about those support groups in the past, that was the objective of forming them. The objective of forming the GMB Women's Wing, I'm sure it's the same, to be able to support the party to win elections. This is a fact. Even now, you hear of KAPUWA, you hear of this within the party. But I believe that all of those support groups, the intention is for them to provide pillars for the party to be able to move forward towards elections.
You just spoke about KAPUWA. I mean, there is also these reports about the existence of KAPUWA group and the point group, if you like, within the SLPP. As a man vying for the chairmanship of the party, I mean, talk to me about the basis, of these groups and your approach probably of handling them.
My understanding of the KAPUWA group was that it was a motivational philosophy to be able to motivate the party towards elections. And I didn't see it as a faction. I was surprised later on when I came and people were branding it as a faction. But that was my understanding, that this is designed to motivate that, look, we need to win these elections, coming elections. And this is our position. Whatever happens, we're going for the win. So that is, and it became a slogan, it became a philosophy, and it became a principle that people followed, and I think it motivated everybody in the party, including the rank and file. But I didn't see it, and I was surprised to hear that there was not a powerful faction. And I still do not believe that there is a powerful faction. I believe it was designed to motivate party members.
Are you aware of the point?
And well, I heard about the point faction as well. But of course, point, the meaning is almost like pauper, right? Pauper, in local parlance, is very similar to point. Point cannot be opposed to pauper.
But in these two groups, reports just looked askance at each other.
Well, so that is the anomaly, because they seem to portray the same ideas. The principle is the same, that we are a determined group to ensure that come rain or shine, that this party is victorious.
You want to see both under your tenure as chairman?
United.
If elected?
I want to see both united. I want to see both maintaining themselves as a motivational force for the party. There is no harm in having them as a motivation for the party to win elections.
What's your understanding of the party constitution insofar as the relationship between the leader of the party is and the chairman of the party?
Well, the leader of the party is the political head of the party. The constitution makes that absolutely clear. He gives political direction to the party at all times. And he needs to be consulted, and he needs to make an input where the party, at any moment where the party is headed. The chairman of the party, as far as I'm concerned, and that is the posture I will be taking as chairman, is the administrative head of the party, giving advice to the leader of the party as and when necessary, but making sure the party machinery functions to the letter.
Is the role of chairman not redundant in the face of the leader?
No, of course, especially now that our leader is president of the country. It's even imperative now to have somebody who runs the day-to-day affairs of the party. Because the president, of course, is busy with governance. And sometimes SLPP, in SLPP we take governance very seriously. And there's always a clear line of division of labor between the party administration and the leader of the party as president of the country. It happened in the past, and that's the same posture President Leone is taking.
In your opinion, I mean, does the party come before nation or national interests of utmost importance?
National interests are of utmost importance. It is quite clear from the way the president is conducting himself that as soon as he won elections, he put governance, he gave governance a premium. And he has been running helter-skelter to deliver on the manifesto which the party put together for him. It was not his personal manifesto. It was a party that sat together with him and put all of those ideas on paper that you have to deliver on this. So that's what he's doing. And those ideas are about putting the nation first. So that's what the president is doing. So my idea of nation and party is that the nation comes first.
If you are unsuccessful in your bid to lead the SLPP as chairman, would you stay within the party or would you seek another year job?
No. In the first place, I'm too old now to go back to a union job. To go and restart a union job. If I was continuing, maybe I would still be there. But I cannot see myself.
So what for your age, you would have opted for another job?
No, that's not the issue. The issue is, if I have to go and reapply, the age might be a factor. But if I was going to continue, I would have continued. But I decided to come home. Sometimes you have to look at, yourself and see how you fit into your country. I have a background in this country. I served my country for a very long time.
So would you stay with the party?
I would stay within the party.
In what capacity, other capacity, would you want to serve if you are not successful in the bid?
Well, there are two key positions that I occupy now in the party. I'm a former member of parliament, and that gives me a stake in how the party is managed. I'm also a distinguished Grand Chief Patron. As former deputy leader of the party, I'm a distinguished Grand Chief Patron. All of these positions give me a leverage which I can use to help in the party administration. So whoever becomes, if I do not succeed in these elections, whoever becomes the chairman would benefit from my services. But I'm quite convinced that I will win the chairmanship.
The fight against corruption continues with, I think, the recent indictments of senior officials in the New York, I think, Chancellor Leone.
That's right.
Yes, by the Anti-Corruption Commission. What original thinking could you bring to the table in the fight against corruption? I mean, under the work as chairman of the party.
I would not have. Let me make it absolutely clear. I think the Anti-Corruption Commission has done a marvelous job. And I don't think I would have any new ideas. I was part of the team that developed the original framework for fighting corruption. Public education, prevention, and of course prosecution. Those are the three arms of the Anti-Corruption Commission. And those three arms are still continuing. Furthermore, the strategy itself has been fine-tuned to the extent that it has been given a lot of teeth. Is now biting in several ways. The only thing I would add is that if we're a party in power, and this party and this government, which we are the architects of, has put corruption as number one on its agenda, I don't see how the party should be lagging behind. I think the party has to institute measures within its own internal structures to be able to make sure that the party is transparent and accountable to membership at all levels.
Undoubtedly, young people will play a major role in the next election, as they constitute more than, I think, 30% of the country's population. But then, in 2007, when the SLPP lost the election, and maybe in 2012, their sympathies, they clearly do not lie with the SLPP. And what could the SLPP, under your watch as chairman, say to them in 2023?
Well, the SLPP has gone through a series of changes. The SLPP has grown into a new party the fact that the SLPP changed the leadership age bracket and elected President Leone shows you that it recognizes the problem. It acknowledges the problem. That it has not been consulting. It has not been looking after youth in the past. Now, you can see that with the youthful leadership in President Leone, he has instituted a lot of programs. And those programs are paying dividends for the party. The party now needs to step up the plate and support those programs properly. That is why, in order to be able to support those programs properly, the party has carved out a niche for young people in the constitution. That in the first place they should elect their leadership. It doesn't make sense to take all the young people to the convention and for older people to elect leadership for them. Secondly, you will see that they are supposed to come up with their own programs within the party. And those programs are the programs the party will take on board. So the young people have their own now within the party. The constitution has ensured that.
All right, now let's talk about that. Do you really think, ALHAJI, that we actually need Okada riders or Okadas in Freetown or in the country, considering the risk, the accidents associated with them? You know, we see every day reports of serious accidents by Okada riders and involving Okada riders and even other members. Is this something you've been the advisor, chairman, the advisor to the president or the leader of the party? Do you really think it's something government should phase out?
Well, that's a very, very critical governance issue. Okada riders are a reality. And it was the SLPP government that created commercial bikes. The past SLPP government. So they are an element we have to contend with. But the law must be effective. Our problem, as far as I'm concerned, is that the Okada riders they seem to be a little bit of the law. They don't stop at traffic at the sign of the traffic police. They don't obey the normal traffic signs. They do what they want, and then they use the wrong routes in many cases. And this has resulted in many accidents, as you just said. So there may be need for the transport or the road safety sector to critically look at. I'm sure it's happening in other countries. As I was told, you do not allow Okada riders in all parts of the city, especially in business districts, in highly populated areas.
Right.
But they have a role to play.
If elected chairman of the SLPP, will you institute, an MP record system or process for government officials who are seen to be ignoring their representative role, with their people in parliament?
We have it now. 77K in the constitution allows for a recall.
It allows. Effectively would you?
Of course. Of course. It's important, especially if it comes, an MP has to toe the party line. An MP also has to listen to its people. And this is where the issue of an inspectorate of the party becomes important. A party inspectorate will go and check if the man elected to parliament is delivering on the promise to his people. If he cares for his people, if he's going there, a party inspectorate will check and report to the party leadership and say, look, you better wake up to this MP in constituency ABCD because he does not care for his people. And he's not going there.
Do you have any intentions, if elected, to bring to the fold the likes of the former chairman of the party, John Oponjo Benjamin, GOB, and other members?
Well, the Constitution makes provision for them. Former leaders, former members of parliament,
Do you have intentions to bring them to the fold?
I think they are within the fold of the party. Based on my understanding, somebody like John Benjamin is within the fold of the party. The other former chairman, I don't think is with the party anymore.
Do you regret that some of your members like Andrew Kaidi, and we're talking about ALHAJI, KAPUWA, and others left the party?
Well, of course it's regrettable that we will come to a point where we would split, where some people split from the party. And you know why it's very, very serious and important? It is because it has been our Achilles heel. In 2007, the SLPP lost because there was a split. Some people left the party and formed another party. The PMDC mushroomed out of the SLPP. And by and large, the discussion and the conclusion, I was an active player then. I was running mate to late Mr. Berawa. The conclusion we drew from that was that it was that split that caused us the victory. So, a split at any time in the party.
Some people say it was a cancellation of over 400 polling stations.
Well, that came after. It was a split that emboldened the cancellation. When we had the split, we came second. We were the ruling party and we came second. So it was that position it was that split that occurred that emboldened the opposition, that emboldened the international community, and that made, even though we won the runoff, but the next chairman was bold enough to cancel 444 police stations.
All right, as to conclude, I'll give you a few seconds to address delegates who are listening, probably watching you live from Broadcasting House. Few seconds to address them as you head to the polls next week.
Well, my message is simple. The party at the moment has witnessed a lot of cracks, a lot of divisions, a lot of unusual activity, uncharacteristic of the party. This party is a decorous party, a united party, peaceful party. But of late, we have been seeing signs of conflict all over. And my message is that I want us to move in a direction. By supporting me, you'll be moving in a direction to resolve the conflicts. Secondly, so I will be a unifier in the party. My message is that I'm coming in as a unifier. I have the experience. I was in peace building. I did mediation for the Sudanese and brought everybody together. Secondly, I also believe that you need somebody with experience. Experience in governance and experience in managing this party. And it has been the tradition to take highly experienced people who have had their day in government and in life, to come and manage their SLPP.
Thank you very much, Alhaji. Let's leave it there.
Thank you.
Here is ALHAJI MOMODU KOROMA aspiring for the chairmanship of the Sierra Leone People's Party. Elections, we are told, are scheduled for next week in the southern city of Obo, we understand. So thank you very much for making it to the studios. We wish you well in your endeavors. We hope to talk to all the candidates in the coming days. We can only say thank you very much for coming to the SLBC to have your say and to get the delegates to know what you intend doing for the party if elected chairman of the party. That's how we end this interview today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all of you who have been following us live from Broadcasting House here, watching ALHAJI MOMODU KOROMA and listening to his message for the party if elected chairman of the SLPP. We hope you enjoyed this program. If you missed part of all of this edition, we are back these days with a repeat broadcast of the show. Otherwise, you join us next time, next week, next few days, when we shall have the other aspirants for the chairmanship of the SLPP. The name is Joseph Ibinda KAPUWA. Wishing you all a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.
Coming up on the SLBC election special, aspirant for the position of national chairman in the person of MOMODU KOROMA will put forward his plans and aspirations to his party membership, the SLPP, and the country as a whole.
I'm coming in as a unifier. I have the experience. I was in peace building. I did mediation for the Sudanese.
With SLBC's Joseph Ibinda KAPUWA.
This is a free-to-air service of the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Commission. And in the interest of the public, we are bringing you live interviews with all candidates, men and women who are vying for the position of chairman, leader, or secretary general of their political parties.
On the SLBC TV and radio on Tuesday, 14th of December 2021. at exactly 7 p.m. with repeat broadcast at 10 p.m. Be a part of the SLBC Election Special.